All right, so for this class, we have successfully got you guys access to your lab environment. So hopefully everybody signed up when they were supposed to last weekend. You can come in here to the class project, open lab, and you should be able to make a reservation in here like you see here. So if I do one for myself, now notice mine's going to say no pods installed because everybody has a pod assigned to them now. All right, so I forgot to assign one to this instructor account. I'll fix that. But you should only have one pod that shows up inside there. All right. Let's see here, and this will close out. Inside that pod, let me just jump into Cadence here because it's sitting here. If you go to the I never added that content. Let me fix that. But in this content tab, you'll have a PDF that will give you all the information. Matter of fact, let me just fix that on the backside here. So give me a couple minutes. That one.
Did the Windows licensing keep?
Did it break?
Yeah.
I don't know. Did it?
I didn't. It didn't break.
Okay. Let's see here. What was I doing? I need that one. A few minutes online, I'll get this patched right away so we can get that up and going. Let's see.
Oh yeah, I forgot to have the permissions. I can't even.
Jeez.
Literally anything. No, I definitely forgot to set a group permission. That would help, wouldn't it?
I would. Let's see. You sent that to me on Discord, right? That PDF.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you guys can't type in the passwords, we're going to blame
Okay.
and engage.
My password is the passphrase and his is the scrambled mess. Okay, which one do you like better? We're protecting against pen testers. Okay, so
This is called security.
All right.
in the name of security.
Yep.
Just think about it
It all makes sense.
in the name of security.
Yep.
Okay, that's in. Okay. Oh. Okay. Back over here, hit refresh. Bada bing, bada boom, you guys now have content. So if you don't have this, just hit refresh. It should pop back up now.
Permissions.
These are your logins. So this will get you into your Windows client machine, one that should be available right here in NetLab. Inside that one, you will have access to those physical hosts. Remember, this is your overall topology. We did get this updated so that the hosts actually match the IP addressing scheme. So you can access those through there. And then down to a reasonable level. Let's see here. Oops, somebody's in chat. What's up? In the Discord, are we supposed to be adding software ideas? Correct. Yeah, that was last week, Bo. This week, those milestones are what we need to do. We'll get updated. I'll share that here in a minute. And then for access to other machines that are on the infrastructure, you guys can have access to the OpenSense router. There's your root, and then the server, that's your access there as well. As you guys add other services and start deploying those, probably this week, it sounds like, we'll start adding this more and more. So as you guys send those off to me, I will come in here and add them into the sheet. I also would recommend that with that sheet, we will update it in Discord. It would be wise of you to, in your Windows client, go ahead and install Discord and log in. Again, this is your machine on your account, so nobody else has access to this machine. But the idea behind that, if you do that, is that you can then access that PDF document inside that environment, which will allow you to copy and paste those into username and password fields. You cannot copy and paste from an outside PDF into the NetLab environment. That doesn't work. All right. So if you add your Discord here, you can do that. The other reason for that is it's easier for you to maintain logs and stuff if it's right there in that environment. So if it were me and I was Mr. Caden on this one, I would undock this virtual machine, full screen it, and then truly full screen it.
And we're admins on those machines.
You are. And so you can do pretty much anything you need to do. You can change your resolution. Then again, if you hit, what is it, F10? No, I don't remember.
F11.
11. I'm old.
I think these things are stuck in like a 1:1 display ratio. If you put it to like a 16:9, you'll get more display area.
Yep. So you could come out here, right click, change your properties, do whatever you want to do to tailor it for your environment. Don't care, it's your machine. All right. So that's good. The only thing I ask that you don't do is change the passwords coming into your machine, because Sam will need access in order to come in and make sure you guys have graded, or mostly into the Proxmox environment. And he shouldn't have to go into your actual machines. He doesn't have access to that. The only one that would be me, and I have no reason to go in there unless you guys have an issue like this where I'm doing with Caden, right? Otherwise, you guys can do what you want inside of there.
So it will all just automatically save when we hit in reservation.
Yes, from now on, all things that you do in that machine stay. So instead of them reverting back like most pods do, these will always stay persistently. We don't want you to download a ton of software to your individual virtual machines. If you're downloading Debian and all that kind of stuff, that should be on the Proxmox system. And I'll have Gage and Caden kind of walk you through when we get to that stage, how to do that if you're not familiar with that. But all ISOs, things like that, you can download directly to the Proxmox host. You do not need to pull them down to your inside virtual machine and then pump them over to Proxmox. I would prefer you go straight to the Proxmox. All right. I'll pause there. Does anybody have any questions on accessing the pod environment? So you guys should be able to log in now. Again, you all have your own accounts. If for some reason you don't have an account or don't have a pod, email me and I'll make sure to work with you to figure out how we can get you back in there. But you guys should be able to poke around here, get in the environment. And so the goal last week, hopefully, is that you guys were getting closer to making a decision on the software side. And there again, you guys can all make contributions on that software. I'm working on the backside in which I'm building a documentation web server that will run here on one of these inside pods. And you guys will be responsible for submitting documentation to that server. So if you are installing, for example, the agent portion of Wazaa, not the indexer, not the directory or the dashboard, you guys are doing an agent on something. I need you just to write a quick write-up of how you did it and any issues that you came across. And you put that on the documentation site, and it'll be all in Markdown. It'll be very easy for you to use. It's not intended to be super fancy. It's meant for you to have a way to document all the stuff that you did along the way. That counts for two things. One, everybody else has access to that documentation then. And two, it's how you guys go get graded. All right. So you guys will submit a page on that system. It'll come to me to get approved. And then once I approve it, which is just making sure you didn't put obscenities on the page and that it's actual documentation. And then we'll go ahead and approve it and it'll become. So think of it kind of like an internal intranet kind of thing. The other part of that is it will have, let's see, it'll have the documentation for grading. Whoever feels like they would be better suited to write the policies, procedures, and stuff like that for your SOC. There's a whole section in there for building out policies and procedures. So you're more than welcome to take on that. So if software isn't your thing or building out virtual machines isn't your thing, you still have a piece in this. You can still go through and do the policies and procedures. All right. They're equally important. So you guys can work with everybody else on the team to figure out what they're deploying, build policies and stuff around that. Outside the policies and procedures, there will be a Discord bot that will get joined onto that Discord server. It will be there simply to track how you guys are posting and interacting each week. So points wise, there'll be quote discussion work points. That'll be your interaction on Discord. Then you'll also have points for documentation of those services, deploying services, that kind of stuff. All right. And all of that will show up on that internal website, which I'll demo on Thursday. I'm just putting some very plain right now. So I wrote it last night because I couldn't sleep. All right. Anybody online have any questions? Does that answer what you were asking, Bo?
Yeah, that did. Are we gonna have groups or no?
You can, yes. So the idea in here, and that'll be part of that other system as well when you guys get in there and register in there, is if you guys end up partnering with somebody because you want to work on a portion of that together, which I would recommend, that you don't all try to go off and do every little piece yourself. It won't work very well that way. So if you guys have 2 or 3 people that want to do the policies and procedures, then you guys can form a team in that other system. And when you guys submit stuff, it submits it as your team. And I can see who wrote it and that kind of stuff to get participation points. Same way with, somebody wants to deploy the Waza indexer and there's 3 people to do that so that they can make sure they have it all hooked up. I'm fine with that. All right. But yes, you can absolutely partner with somebody along the way. And Discord would be a good way to do that. And eventually I will have everybody that is going to team up with somebody else mark that inside that documentation server. It just is a way for me to go through and help grade as well as Sam.
So I was looking, because I wasn't here. I was down in Georgia doing some training, but I was looking at the software page and I didn't really see anyone writing in there. So I wasn't for sure if that was the correct spot to put that information.
I think a lot of people were talking in the general in order to figure out what software they were going to do. And then once that was chosen, they were going to put it into the software thread, I believe was the plan.
I think we chose Waza.
Your pick was all, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think pretty much everybody settled on Waza. So now my recommendation inside of there is break apart Waza. So if you look at the Waza instruction guides, you're going to have the indexer, you're going to have the server, you're going to have the dashboard, and you're going to have a bunch of other little pieces along the way. Those are all separate installs, which means break into teams and split those all up and do that kind of portion, right? Then again, you're going to have all the agents that you have to install on all the different systems. So you're going to have to install the agents on the individual Proxmox hosts. You're going to have to install them on all the other virtual machines that you deployed on Proxmox. All of those will need an endpoint agent. So the key.
Oh, sorry.
Nope, you're good. The key on the virtual machines and stuff is make sure that you guys are using the snapshot feature before you try to deploy something. So that if you blow it up, you can go back to something. If you don't, that would be a problem. We're going to try to automatically back up all the virtual machines every night. Those will go out to a PBS. We need to make sure we get that set up. But that way, if somebody blows it up, at least we can go back to the day before. What'd you have, Bo? Sorry.
So, when should we start forming groups?
Now.
Now? Okay.
So in Discord, I would start working with other people, see if you want to form out groups, who's got like interests, that kind of stuff. There again, I don't want to dictate it because I need you guys to organize this on your own. That's not me being lazy. The point is I need you guys to work through that exercise. So if you guys need polls or you need an extra space on Discord to do all that kind of stuff, just tell me and we'll do it. But I'm not going to assign 3 people randomly that are both online and virtual, or on campus and virtual, and then you guys never have a chance to meet up. Like, you guys know the people around you. You can find a group if you choose to do so. It's not required to be on a team. If you are somebody that, for example, this is being recorded for the virtual students. If you guys are somebody that can barely check in and you guys do all your homework on the weekend and don't know if you can hook up with somebody, that's fine. Just document what you're going to do. Make sure everybody else in the class knows so that you're not double producing stuff. I heard some nipples on Discord. Now, if we get stuck and we're not making any progress after kind of letting you guys do your thing, then I'll step in. But I'm trying to let everybody divvy that out for the time being. So if somebody wants to organize and say, okay, here's WSA indexers and here's WSA server and here's the other pieces, and figure out what that's all going to take and what kind of hierarchy you want to deploy that across these 3 Proxmox servers, that's where you should look at. My recommendation for the initial deployment is use virtual machines. Don't use Docker, don't use Kubernetes, that kind of stuff. You're going to add way too much overhead in order to get it done in this class. So just use virtual machines for the time being. When it comes to deploying this and how you're going to do this in this high architecture, KISS method. All right. Keep it simple so that you can make sure that you can scale it later on. If you decide, okay, we got to blow this away and do this other change, great. Document that. Because what you just found out is something that needs to go on our documentation site so that people know what we had to do and why we had to change it. For example, you deployed, you spent all day getting a log exporter over on this system and then realized it can't ingest from the other systems. You got to redeploy it over here. Great, document that. Again, that documentation server should be up by Thursday so that you guys can do that kind of thing. You keeping that, think of it as documentation / journal. You keeping that is actually what your grade's going to be really based on. Because you may install something 4 times and never actually get it fully deployed. But if you journaled and documented why that happened, I will get you the participation points. Because frankly, that's real life. I think these guys have had to rebuild this infrastructure 2 or 3 times already. So
Before the class even started.
before the class ever started.
Does my virtual machine look right? Yours had like some text floating along here.
So Gage or Caden did that. He's going to write up some quick instructions on how you can add that in there. The goal behind that is so that you can figure out what your IP address and stuff is equally important here. I'm sorry, Caden, I'm gonna
You're
move
good.
it. I said Gage, I meant Caden. This is a very simple tool that's built into Windows sysinternals. It's part of Windows if you install the package. So it's very easy to throw on there. So that's going to be his first documentation, is throwing that up so that you guys can do that on your individual machines. Unless you don't want participation points. I figured you already did it. Let's go ahead and get your points. Again, these systems do have a limited amount of resources. Each PC, I think, has what, 80 gig? And it looks like you've already started to fill some of it.
No, I literally just installed BG Info and Discord just now, and
Nice.
it's already at 46.
Okay. Well, you guys can go through and clean it as you need it. There again, I don't want you guys downloading a bunch of ISOs and content to these individual machines. That should be going to the Proxmox systems. All right. And like I said, I plan on having one of these 2 demo that probably Thursday of how to download an ISO to the Proxmox system. It's very simple, but we'll record it so that we can show that. Same way on these sessions when we start like this, if somebody wants to demo what they did or the software package when it gets deployed, that will count as your documentation and your points for that participation that week. So it doesn't need to be a 40-minute demo. If you just have a presentation that shows what it is, and I would prefer they be live presentations. In other words, no, do not build PowerPoints for this. Simply demo it live so that people can go back and watch that recording. So you guys can jump in the Zoom session. It'll be part of the recording. You guys will share and then present that. If it's a 5-minute deal, great.
Give me that kind of power.
All right. Let's see. I just started that recording back up. I'll merge those later or whatever we got to do. Anybody have any questions on what our plans are? All right. So for now, you guys can continue to work on Discord, form groups, figure out what software packages you want to be responsible for, that kind of stuff. You're still in the exploration type phase. We'll get this documentation server up so that you guys can start throwing things together. Like I said, it's going to help with auto grading so that you guys know where you're standing in this class. Because as you remember, this portion of your grade's what, 30, 40%? I don't remember. I have to go back and look again. It's a pretty large chunk, right? So I know people are wanting to know how they're doing in the class. This will auto inject those grades back into Blackboard. So built a little glue that it'll end up at the end of the week. It will auto pull in the grades that you did for that week and stick them back in here. Let's see, the game's 30% of your grade. So if we look at our schedule to see where we're at for the rest of this, we have this week to try to get that done. Hopefully by next week, you guys are really getting software packages in, getting your documentation stood up, starting to do some testing by week 17 going through here. The week of the 24th, obviously that's fall break, so we won't be doing anything in class, but you guys may need to play catch up if you're behind or getting whatever packages tested, etc. Once we get back from break, we essentially only have 2 weeks, and that gets us into the mock exam stuff. So in the very beginning of December 1st, pretty much everything associated with this game has to be done so that we could move into the mock exam and the final exam, and you guys can start taking your certs. All right. It really doesn't leave us with a lot, about 3 to 4 weeks to get something up and going. Now, again, I'm not expecting a full-blown up and running SOC. We may not get to the point where hackers and pen testers are going to break into your SOC. That's fine. What I do care about is you guys go through the exercise of picking software, installing software, figuring out all the issues when you do install it. Everybody okay with that? Cool. And remember, posts on Discord that are like, hey, how are you? Like, that's not contributing to the work of the class. So I don't need you to be a big talker, but I also need you to actively participate. And I think most people in here are doing that. There again, Sam's going to be grading that. The bot's going to sit there and monitor that so that it can give points for weekly participation, that kind of stuff. Now Discord's going crazy. All right, let's see. Bo, Kevin, Riley, you guys got anything?
I'm good.
I don't at this time.
Okay. You guys got the schedule for the rest of the month? And I'll have these quote milestones out there. As a matter of fact, in the documentation site, I actually added a whole section called milestones so that you can keep track of those milestones over the next 3 to 4 months and make sure that we're posting that stuff in. So
In 3 to 4 weeks.
what's that?
You said months.
Oh yeah, 3 to 4 weeks.
I was like, I'm not gonna be here.
What's Sam's username on Discord?
What's that?
What's Sam's username on Discord?
I don't know. Sam. Let's see here. He would be,
Oh, is it? Oh, it's just Samuel.
yeah, I think
I
it's
didn't
just
know.
Sam.
I didn't know he was.
Right here. His last name. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not showing the right screen. Here. That's Sam. All right. If you have troubles with your VM or issues or whatever else is coming back in, you're more than happy to message here on the support and let Gage and Caden and myself know, and depending on what the issue is as to who will tackle that particular thing. All right. Yeah, as far as Discord, that's fine. There again, you don't have to log into the Discord on the NetLab side if you don't want to. That I'm not forcing anybody. If you are happy to type out usernames and passwords, there again, once we get them on the website, that part will kind of go away too, right? So
I wanna do it, but I'm like, I don't wanna.
I get it. So it was an initial thought, but now as I'm seeing the reasons why you may not want to, I get it. It's not a big deal. Especially now that we have this fancy little web server. That was my answer to it last night. Now I just have to finish writing it. It was a lot of Django code last night. My head hurts. But I chose to eat my own dog food from 601, so we're good. All right, that's all I got today. If you guys got access, hopefully I basically hear a lot of tink, tink, tink on Discord, and That means you guys are busy working away and divvying up who wants to do what. Like I said, if we get stuck in the middle of this, then I'll start pushing and pointing people to the right thing. But otherwise, I'm trying to make sure you guys are responsible for it. The other part of this is this weekend we're going to Denver to actually view a sock. So there may be a strong chance that the ones that are going to that will come back and say, hey, this is what we found there. It might be cool to add to our thing. We'll have some pictures, hopefully, if we can do that, that kind of stuff that we can present back as to what that would be. So field trip
Yeah.
on Friday. It's like high school all over. All right, we'll see you guys later. See, another chat came in.
The reason.
What was that question, Bo?
The reason I don't.
When is the field trip?
This Friday,
Sport accounts.
we're heading out to Denver. The cybersecurity club
See, all they do
is taking a road trip out to Denver.
Okay.
Just make sure that password's not used anywhere else.
All right, I will get this video posted along with the one that ended earlier, and you guys can play it back.
Most of my passwords.
I'm just weird. So